2009. I'm Nur Razmiela Jamieta binti Muhammad Razak from Channel 1 Top News Bulletin. Together with me are
I'm Nur Najlaa binti Zamri from Channel 5 Premium Bulletin.
This is Global Bulletin from Channel 7 and I'm Aliea Farhani Aminudin.
and I am Nur Amiza binti Dzamae from World News Bulletin Channel 9.
The biggest corporate scandal happened in India involving Satyam Computer Service. A confession letter regarding the scandal was sent to Security and Exchange Board of India.
CEO of Satyam Computer Services Limited was sentenced 7 years in prison. Stay tuned, the full news will be right after this.
Satyam Computer Service Limited is an organization that gives full scope of IT administration by including the programming and framework, the executive and improvement, designing arrangement, foundation the board, and undertaking the business arrangement. Since it was compromised in 1987 in Hyderabad, India by B. Ramalinga Raju. Besides that, Satyam's system traversed 55 nations, adjusting more than 489 worldwide organizations, including 156 Fortune 500 companies. The primary customer of Satyam Computer Service Limited was John Deere and Company in regard to programming venture in 1991. In the year 1997, Satyam Computer Service was chosen by the World Economic Forum as one of the most astounding and quickly development innovative organization. By 2003, its IT administration organization has included 13,120 specialized partners, overhauling more than 300 clients around the world. Around then, the overall IT administration showcase was assessed at about $400 billion with an expected yearly compound development pace of 6.4%, as it also was positioned third in corporate governance survey by global institutional investors. After a few years, everything began when Mr. Raju has asserted that the motivation behind why he disguised the genie monetary position is to guarantee that takeovers are under control and business runs easily. Mr. Raju also utilized the organization store to get land holding evaluate around 7,000 sections of land held by the Maitas firm in the year 2008, where Maitas firm is really possessed by Mr. Raju's children. Therefore, the next news will be communicated by Amiza.
Thank you, Aliea from Channel 7 Global Bulletin. Hi, I'm Nur Amiza binti Dzamae from World News Bulletin Channel 9. I will continue the chronology in Satyam's company. It all started when Mr. Raju has claimed that the reason why he concealed the true financial position is to ensure that takeovers are at bay and business runs smoothly. Mr. Raju wanted to establish firms for his sons in the real estate sector. In these cases, Mr. Raju used the company's fund to acquire land holding estimated around 7,000 acres held by the Maitas firm in the year 2008. Maitas firm is actually owned by the Mr. Raju sons. A man known as Jose Abraham claimed himself as a former senior executive in Satyam company. He revealed the fraud done by Mr. Raju by informing the Satyam board of directors. What have done by Mr. Raju in the balance sheet as at 30 September 2008 was expensed, which is non-existent money and banked at just of Indian rupee 5,040. as reflected in the book as Indian rupee 5,361. Next, there is an accrued interest of Indian rupee 376, which is non-existent. It additionally has an understated obligation of Indian rupee 1,230 because of assets mastermind by Mr. Raju. The last one is an overstated in account holder of Indian rupee 490 as against Indian rupee 2,651 reflected in the books. Following quite a long while of such control, Satyam was revealed income Indian rupee 2,700 crore in 2008 to 2009. When it was the real income is Indian rupee 2,112 crore. Its working revenue appeared at 24% when they were really at 3% on paper to conceal for genuine misfortune. It was the point at which the organization came up short on money to pay rates, and Mr. Raju concluded that he couldn't ride the tiger anymore and made up his admission relating the misrepresenting the organization record. In 2009, B. Ramalinga Raju confessed in a letter what he had done in the Satyam company. After more than 6 years, a special court in Hyderabad has found former of Satyam chairman, which is B. Ramalinga Raju, and 9 others guilty of corporate fraud in the infamous Indian rupee 14,000 crore Satyam cases. All 10 accused in the case have been found guilty in a scam that has been dubbed as one of the biggest financial scams in the country corporate sector. The accused have been found guilty of cheating, forgery and criminal breach of trust, which had caused of a loss Indian rupee 14,000 crore to shareholders of Satyam. The 10 accused in order include B. Ramalinga Raju, his brother which is Rama Raju, Satyam executive which is Vadlamani Srinivas, 2 Pricewaterhouse official, S. Gopalakrishnan and Taluri Srinivas. Ramalinga Raju another brother which is Surya Ranayana Raju, company's Vice President Finance, G. Ramakrishna, Senior Manager Finance, D. Venkatapati Raju, Finance Manager, C. Switzerland and Head of the company's Internal Audit, VSP Gupta. All the 10 accused have been convicted under Section 120B, Criminal Conspiracy, read with 420 IPC, which is cheating. This is very big chronology and a lot of scams are being committed in this company without anyone knowing. To find out more about this, we will be with Najlaa from Channel 5 Premier Bulletin.
Thank you, Amiza from World News Bulletin for the clear explanation regarding the fraud happens in Satyam. My name is Nur Najlaa binti Zamri. I'm from Channel 5 Premium Bulletin. We'll give you further discussion about the fraud in Satyam Computer Services. It was like riding a tiger not knowing how to get off without being eaten. In a praise written in the confession letter wrote by Mr. B. Ramalinga Raju. On January 7, 2009, Mr. B. Ramalinga Raju has written a confession letter to be sent to Security and Exchange Board of India, Stock Exchange, and his shareholders regarding the fraud that happened in Satyam. Mr. Ramalinga Raju has admitted that he committed fraud and concealed for several years without anyone realizing in Satyam. He also stated in the confession letter the fraud that he had done for several years. For general meaning of fraud, we know that fraud is anyone who deceives a third party or others to get a benefit for himself. In Satyam case, it is related to fraudulent financial reporting fraud, which involve an omission, intentional omissions or wrongly recorded of amount in the books of Satyam, and also a false disclosure to his shareholders. In the confession letter wrote by Mr. B. Ramalingaraju, he admitted that he changed the amount in the balance sheet 30 September 2009, which left a huge gap between the created amount and the actual amount. The scandal of Satyam Computer Services has shocked the whole world because they are known as a company who serve a wide range of services towards more than 500 companies. The services that Satyam Computer Service Ltd provide, such as software development, system maintenance, package software integration, and engineering design to customers. The big question linger in our mind right now is, why did Satyam do the fraud? We all know for the matter of the fact that all of our acts have its own reason. Therefore, the fraudulent act committed by Mr. B. Ramalingaraju has its own reason, and the confession letter that he wrote has answered the question. In Satyam case, there is 3 conditions that cause a fraud. The first one is incentive and or pressure. The second one is opportunity. The third one is attitude and rationalization. The first condition is incentive and pressure, where we can see in the confession letter that Mr. Ramalingaraju himself confessed that he did change the amount in the books, which he decreased the amount of revenue that the company get, and he increased the amount that the company need to pay. All the money was taken only to benefit the company, not for personal matter. In the confession letter, he stated that there is a huge gap between the created amount and the actual amount that need to be recorded in the books. The gap is slowly being larger than usual, and they are afraid that all the fraud that they commit will be revealed one day. So in order to close the gap, they need to carry the additional resources and assets in the company to get the higher level operation. Therefore, it will cost a higher cost. Mr. Ramalingaraju has made every possible way to gain money, but unfortunately, every attempt to close the gap failed. He stated that as the promoter held the small percentage of equity and the poor performance will cause a taken over of the company and will expose the fraud that happened in the company. The second condition is opportunities. There is an easy opportunities for Mr. B. Ramalingaraju to commit fraud in the Satyam Computer Services Ltd. The opportunity for misstatement can be created from the weakness in accounting information and the basic knowledge of accounting from the users, and ineffectiveness of audit committee or a board of director oversight the financial reporting. In Satyam confession letter, he stated that the board member, past or present, business leader and senior executive in the company didn't acknowledge the change made in the financial reporting and also the fraud that happened in the company. The lack of knowledge in accounting, no sense of suspicious, and the high level trust they put in Satyam has closed their mind and eyes to see the fraud happen in Satyam Computer Services Ltd. The last condition is about attitude and rationalization. In the confession letter, we can see clearly that he tried hard to make the Satyam Computer Services Ltd look good in others' mind and eyes. As to achieve the goals to be the best computer services company, he keep creating a fraud, which in result he can't put it to stop because it has been wider and larger. He stated in the confession letter that all the fraud that he made is for the company to keep going on forward and to ensure that all employees are getting their salaries on time. Even though there is a strong reason and good reason why he did the fraud, but the fraud will be considered as fraudulent act, and anyone who involved in the scandal will will be penalty imposed to them, and of course Mr. B. Ramalingaraju will bear the consequence. For this case, I will pass the case to the Channel 9 Top News Bulletin for further discussion.
Thank you, Najlaa from Channel 5 Premier Bulletin for the nice cover-up regarding the conditions that lead Satyam to commit the fraud. Together with me, Nur Razmiela, Jamieta, binti Muhammad Razak will continue to enroll the scandal. As public are currently aware about this Satyam scandal, which occurred as the biggest scandal that ever happened in India, there must be consequences for every fraud that have been committed. All the related parties in Satyam Computer Services Limited were facing the consequences and penalties for all the fraud that they have been doing, and none of them were being excused. The earliest effects that arise after the Satyam scandal surfaced, the Company Law Board marked to prohibit the current board of Satyam from continuously functioning and appointed 10 official directors on 10 January 2009. On the same day, the Crime Investigation Department team has questioned Srinivas Vadlamani, Satyam's former CFO, and later he was arrested and kept in judicial custody. Additionally, Satyam's auditing firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers (PwC), came under intense inspection, and its license to operate was voided as it was found guilty. Satyam's shares peaked in 2008 at $29.10, and by March 2009 they were trading around $1.80, which is the lowest level since March 1998. The New York Stock Exchange has discontinued trading in Satyam stock on 7 January 2009, and it led to the situation where investors lost almost $2.82 billion in Satyam. After all the mess happened and the role played by PwC, investors became cautious of those companies who are PwC's clients, which resulted in fall in share prices of around 100 companies reached between 5% until 15%, which concluded that the shares in Satyam fell more than 70%. As for the founder and former chairman of Satyam Computer Services Limited, Ramalingaraju, he was sentenced to 7 years of prison after he found guilty in an accounting fraud case which ranks as the biggest fraud case in that country. A court in Hyderabad, where Satyam was based, announced that B. Ramalingaraju, who founded Satyam back in 1987, was guilty of forging documents and falsifying accounts. The Hyderabad court also determined that Raju's brother, which also a former Satyam's managing director, B. Ramaraju, as well as 8 others guilty, and sentenced them to 7 years in prison too. The court also fined Raju and his brother Ramaraju amounted 55 million rupees, which is $883,960 each person. And meanwhile, 50 million rupees each on their siblings Suryadarayana Raju and 7 others. So Amiza, what do you think about this case? Does the punishment is being fairly given or not? Or do you think that the justice being prevailed, or it turns out oppositely? And could you share with us the simple summary that you can give in order to conclude the whole scandal?
Thank you, Razmiela. Personally, I think it is quite easy for the whole investigation being passed accordingly, as the Satyam CEO himself admit his fault and straight away resigned from his position. Satyam was a leading global consulting and IT services company, in India back then, and no one ever thought that big companies such as Satyam could commit an unexpected fraud just to cover up their previous action.
Yes, that's true, Amiza. We can see that even Satyam companies, the biggest companies that provide a wide range services, can commit this kind of fraud. How about the other companies? They might commit a fraud like Satyam did to hide from public. In my opinion, in order to prevent such misconduct happen again in future, the corrective measure need to be taken at the earliest stage.
Sorry for interrupt, but what kind of corrective measure you can suggest, Najlaa?
The corrective suggestion that I suggest that maybe Satyam Computer Services can reappoint or appoint an independent accountant and auditor. The accountant will prepare the financial statement without violating any rules, and the auditor can recheck the financial statement to give the reasonable assurance that the financial statement is free from misstatement and omission.
Yes, that's true. Even though that is the basic knowledge that every company should comply, but it is really hard to follow. Aside from that, Satyam also should appoint a forensic auditor to detect and prevent these fraudulent activities and investigate if there is any fraud occur. They could implement this method in monthly basis. For example, the company financial statement should be audited by both external and forensic auditor on each accounting period as 6 months. For internal auditor, they need to keep aware on the company's statement such as bank reconciliation. For internal auditor, they need to keep aware for the company statement such as bank reconciliation and cash book, whether it is balanced or not.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I also think that the same auditor should not be allowed to perform their duty for more than 3 years in a company, because if the same auditor is auditing the company for a really long time, it might affect the auditor's conflict of interest. Okay, that's all from us.
Stay tuned for the latest news domestically and globally.
Thank you for tuning in our bulletin channel.
Have a nice day ahead.